Morning. Call the January 6, 2026 City Council meeting to order. I'm going to call on Councilman Russ McKelvey to lead us our invocation and pledge. If you would, please stand.
Pray with me, please. Good morning, God. We thank you for another wonderful day in Jackson, Tennessee. Thank you for all the great people that make up the city government and work hard each and every day to make our city a better place. We ask that you bless our city, that you bring to us a prosperous, safe, and healthy 2026. And we ask as we work together today that you impart upon us wisdom and allow us to do the right thing for the city of Jackson. We love you and we thank you for everything you've done for us. It's in your son's name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item 3 is roll calls. Marquis, all council members are present. Before I get any further, I want to recognize Councilmember Richard Donnell's birthday. Happy birthday, Councilmember Donnell.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
And then also want to recognize a former council member's passing last month, former District 2 council member, professor at Lane College, and also my 8th grade algebra teacher, Willie Moore, passed away last month. So take a moment of silence for Councilmember Moore. All right, thank you all. Have approval of the minutes of the December 2nd, 2005 City Council meeting. Those minutes were sent out to you all. No additions or corrections. They stand approved as read. No proclamations or recognitions today. No invitation for no public comment. Get to first reading. Item 1, proposed budget amendment to recognize and appropriate $25,000 for Cities for Financial Empowerment Legacy Planning Grant.
Motion. Second.
We have a motion and a second. I'll get some information on that, Tyler. You want to come up?
Good morning, Mayor and Council. How are we doing today?
Good
Good.
So I think I've shared a little bit about this already, but just to recap, we had the opportunity to apply for the Legacy Planning Grant. This is an extension of services for the Financial Empowerment Center. So it allows our counselors to work with citizens on legal matters. So things like estate planning, working on having folks as beneficiaries on bank accounts, working on extending wills to family members for homes and things of that nature. And so really what it allows our counselors to do is work with clients up to a certain point, and then they can hand off if there's further legal needs to other legal entities like West Tennessee Legal Services or others. And so this is just us receiving that allocation of funding. That funding will be used for changing media, working on communications to let the public know about the service. So the Financial Empowerment Center will use these funds for those types of items.
All right, have a motion to second. Any discussion from council? Council, please vote.
Motion passed 9-0.
Hang on right there. Item 2 is proposed budget amendment to reallocate $13,000 for CFE Summer Job Connect grant.
Yeah, so this past summer, we got to run a pilot program called Summer Job Connect. I gave our summer youth workers that work for the city and the 2 camps that we have that we run during their summer, it gave them an opportunity to open up their own bank account and have some financial workshops during like lunch hours and things of that nature. And so as a part of the funding, what we decided to do is the Parks and Rec Department actually had purchased a software program for communication last year, and we're going to use this fund, some of the funds for this grant to do the ongoing cost for that software, the year-over-year cost for that. So that'll take some of our general fund dollars out of the picture for that. And also, as a part of that, the Parks and Rec Department has started to purchase kiosks that can be used for our citizens for that communication software at different locations. And so for the 2 locations where our summer youth workers are currently working at T.R. White and Westwood, in those camps, where those kiosks are, some of the funding is used so that our general fund dollars aren't having to be used to purchase those kiosks. So that's what that fund is for.
All right, do we have a motion?
Motion.
We have a mo-
Second.
And a second. Further discussion? Council, please vote.
Motion passed 9-0.
All right, thank you, Tyler.
Thank you.
Item 3 is proposed budget amendment to recognize donations and miscellaneous fire revenue totaling $13,170.38 and appropriate to fire administration.
Motion?
We
Second.
have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Council, please vote.
Motion passed 9-0.
Item 4, excuse me, consideration of a plan of service, proposed annexation and zoning for an area referred to as George White Area Number 2, comprising of 2.16 acres, more or less, located east of Moisey Creek and Bowling Drive. Proposed zoning is RS2, Single Family Residential District.
Good morning, Mayor and Council.
Good morning.
You have the materials pertinent to this annexation request. It is a requested annexation, and the plan of service, and also the zoning for the annexed area upon its annexation, which is RS2. This is a small area adjacent to another area that is already zoned RS2 and has already come through this body and been annexed at an earlier date. They are wanting to add this into that development to provide for some detention area. So again, this was presented to the Planning Commission, and they are recommending approval of the plan of service and the annexation and the zoning to you.
Motion.
Second.
Have a motion, second. Discussion?
Will this require any funds from us to do structure work, infrastructure?
Anything that's done within the subdivision is the developer's responsibility.
Right, but we don't have to do anything to get it to there, we're close enough now.
No.
Any further discussion? Council, please vote.
Motion passed 9-0.
Item 5 is consideration of an ordinance to amend the text of the official zoning ordinance of the city of Jackson, Tennessee relative to smoke shops and tobacco stores.
You have the materials pertinent to this text amendment, and it was presented to the Planning Commission, and they are recommending it to you. I just wanted to give you a brief introduction to this. We presented this to you at the pre-agenda meeting, and you asked for a report, and I sent you a report. I hope y'all had a chance to not read it cover to cover, but at least browse some of the topics in it. This report was produced by TASSER, which is a research group for the state of Tennessee that does a lot of research in terms of new legislation and those things for them. And this rose out of the dramatic increase in youth use of vaping products, especially in high school age children. I shouldn't call them children. High school students, and the national, Tennessee was much higher than the national average, and so they did a report just to give us some background on the problem and the issues. I also sent you some information from Franklin that they did in a PowerPoint presentation when they presented this type of legislation to their body. So again, just trying to give you a basis, and just to sum it all up, regulations and laws, most regulations and laws sit on 3 fundamental pillars, and that is health, safety, and welfare. So we have a lot of laws on our books that are addressing laws that are there to protect individuals, protect children. That's why when we were young, that's a long time ago, as the mayor says, I've been here 100 years. So back when I was young, you could buy cigarettes in a vending machine. You can't do that anymore. If you go in Walmart, they're behind a glass and you have to go through a certain aisle to get them. That's not a prohibition, that's a restriction. And people can still buy it if they're a responsible adult and they're over the age of 21, they can buy cigarettes. This is not a prohibition on vaping stores. This is a restriction. And the restriction is there because of some key things, and one is exposure. The report talks about the marketing that is done toward young people with vaping products because of the flavors, like Jolly Rancher Blue and things like that. It's very attractive to young people. Vaping was also promoted in the beginning as a safe alternative to cigarette use, and now they've proven that that's not necessarily true. So again, the laws were created to provide for restriction, and in main areas were exposure. And that's what this ordinance is intended to address. exposure. We talked about clustering in pre-agenda. Clustering of stores are in nature increasing the exposure to young people. They see the marketing and then they see a cluster of stores, they jump out at them, the exposure is greater. It also addresses number, which again, much like they did with beer sales and other products, they feel like because of reducing the number of a type of establishment, the exposure is less and the chances of someone getting something illegally is reduced. And so, you know, they asked students in that report, you'll see where they asked students how many had access to vaping products, and it was a fairly, you know, high percentage that could still buy it even though we had laws on the books. So the nature of the law is to restrict the number. And the last thing is just, again, a reminder that nothing in this ordinance is prohibiting. It is restricting. The existing vape stores, it does not affect them. They continue to sell the product. Now, if they move, they have to apply the current standards. Any of the new stores that want to come about, they can locate, and there's still areas where they can locate. So again, we're not setting a prohibition to vaping and tobacco stores. We're just restricting the number and the locations to try to lessen the attractive aspects of the product to our young people. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Well, why is this necessary? I mean, is there a problem with police and young people in Jackson where this would be necessary to, you know, trying to take care of that problem? Is there a problem in Jackson?
Well, again, the basis for this and other communities that have addressed, you saw in the PowerPoint that there's other cities that have adopted these, and it rose out of this report that I gave you access to, the TASA report. And the TASA report talks about the exposure to young people, and it was similar to, if you remember, Richard, I know you do, there used to be a billboard on Whitehall.
Yeah.
That used to advertise alcohol and tobacco and things of that nature. And, you know, we tried to, remove that over time because it was in a neighborhood that basically was targeting a group, a population, and
Targeting
causing
black people. You can say that. Targeting black people. That's who it was targeting.
Yes. And it basically resulted in increases in the use of those products. And so what this intends to do is to limit the exposure to young people. And by limiting the number and exposure, you can limit the access that young people have to this product. Now again, it's not to attack smokers or people that vape. It's basically to the ones that are legal and the ones that are responsible and able to acquire it, they can do that. The ones that are under the age of 21, they're not supposed to, it limits the exposure and the attraction.
But has that been reported to the planning commission or to the city or to the police department, or has the police department reported it to your office that there's a problem with this in Jackson?
Let me, if I could, it's a
Let
major.
him answer that first.
Well, has there been a report specific to Jackson? No. Have there been reports from similar cities? Yes.
Okay, thank you.
It's a major problem in all our schools. Vaping is really a big concern. We got kids coming in daily that we catching, they trying to hide vapes, or we get them in any kind of way they can.
We're getting into the discussion phase of this, so before we get into that, we need to get a motion and a second on the table to discuss it. We have questions specific, we can do that. We want to get a discussion. I don't want to hinder discussion. We need to get a motion before we can have a discussion.
So moved, second.
A motion, now we can open for discussion.
I think the chief was prepared to, he looked like he was prepared to speak. Mr. Mayor, if we could.
Well, if it's okay, can I finish my discussion?
Yes, go ahead. Now go ahead.
If that's okay. Yeah, but like I said, it is a major discussion in our schools, in all our schools, and I mean, kids they are marketing now with, there might be a magic marker, but it's a vape. It might be any type of different items that look like a school product, a school pencil or something, and they just slip them in all kind of ways. So it's a major problem in our schools that we're trying to get control of. So I think it would help out also with some type of restrictions.
Yes, thank you. I just wanted to add that we have done undercover stings in vape shops in the city and have had underage informants purchase vapes. And then, so, yes, it is a problem here in the city.
Yeah, but how is this text amendment, how is that gonna address that? This
I
wouldn't address-
can't address the zoning part of
Yeah,
it.
this won't address that at all.
I'm just
will it?
addressing the vape part of it.
Okay,
Well-
Mr. Palermo, this won't address that problem he's talking about, though, will it?
Well,
What
it's
Councilman Dodd talking about.
it's sort of the same premise as, you know, you can't buy a bottle of beer in a clothing store. I mean, it's restricted to certain sales platforms that you have to go through. So again, our laws throughout, you know, the body of our laws have things that restrict access. Just like when we were growing up, you know, the magazines that we're not supposed to look at had a cover over it where you couldn't see the picture on the front. Now,
How do you
now,
know
I
that?
know the statute of limitations. Well, I think the statute of limitations has run out on me, but some of y'all it may not have. So you know, there's things that are done by laws that are presented to protect and to guard the health, safety, and welfare, just like car seats used to not be required in vehicles. We used to ride in the back of pickup trucks. And didn't think anything about it, but you know, accidents shown that was unsafe and could cause problems. So again, it limits the exposure and the number of places that it's available. So by doing that, it makes it harder for someone to be able to acquire it that's not supposed to have it.
Follow up on Richard's question, I believe what he's asking is, what would this bill do differently? If I want to open a store tomorrow, what does this add to me that I have to do?
Well, over time, you know, we're hoping that this will to handle the clustering, which is again raising the exposure because you have 3 or 4 stores all together, and also we feel like by restricting them to certain zones, some commercial districts, that we will limit the number over time.
Okay, that restriction is something new.
Yeah, I hadn't heard that about restricting them to certain zones. I don't
Yes.
think I heard that.
It's the commercial zones that retail products are sold in anyway, but it's not in your shopping center districts, your SC1s, but it's in B4, B5, which are your main retail districts.
So this bill will change some of the zoning, which will restrict somewhat opening new stores.
What this does is right now, vaping products and tobacco products are sold anywhere other retail products are sold. This will put them as a special exception. This category of uses will be in a special exception. That means when a new one wants to go in, they'll have to go before the Board of Zoning Appeals, and they'll look at the location, and they'll look at the proximity to other stores of that type, and they'll look at the number already in the area. So again, by doing that, it allows you to look on the front end what's happening. Right now, if they go out there and find an open lease space, they can open one, as long as they pass all other requirements.
Is it subjective to is it zoning or planning?
Well, it's the same.
Board of
planning
Zoning
and
Appeals.
zoning.
Board of Zoning Appeals is any use that's not permitted outright goes to the Board of Zoning Appeals for approval. Like churches and schools can be in a residential area, but they're not permitted outright because they're more than residential, so they're required to go through an extra step, which is the Board of Zoning Appeals.
But they can limit the number?
They can by not approving, if someone come in with an application for a new vaping store and it was in an area where you already had 5 of them already there, they could say, this area is already served. We're not going to approve this because it's already adequately served.
My question is, where is the cutoff? Is it 5? Is it?
It's up to the Board of Zoning Appeals to determine the number, but it's what's already present. It's, you know, how close it is to other public facilities like parks, churches, schools. So it looks at all those factors so that it's just not wide open. And so by doing that and by addressing the distance requirement, you restrict the number of new stores that could be established. By restricting the number, you restrict the exposure.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I've got several things. We talked about in our pre-agenda that with underage sale of alcohol, that the police are going in and doing sting operations. So we just heard from the chief that that is possible, to go in and do these stings for, to catch with underage sales. Then also, are you really trying to limit the proximity or the number of stores?
Well, both those are in concert with each other by limiting the number of stores. Right now in Jackson, the last list that I ran, we had over 20
Okay.
in Jackson. So again, in a market our size, 20 stores is pretty significant. And in the future, if this were to pass, that number would now have to be would be governed by these requirements that we put in place that address your distance requirements from other vaping and tobacco stores, and it's about limiting the number. So also it deals with some of the signage and some of the lighting. Now, I know in pre-agenda y'all mentioned that sign code would do that. It doesn't. You know, right now our current sign code would not address some of the lighting that they have and some of the signage they have.
There's a portion, I don't know the exact spot, but there's a portion of our existing sign code that speaks to animated signs, which I'd say the most egregious one there on North Highland across from AutoZone used to be Advanced Auto Parts. How is that not an illegal sign?
Because the nature of that sign, if you look at the sign code, it's all that's in the context of driving, motorists, doing things with flashing signs that would keep somebody, would confuse somebody, think that there's a traffic sign or something of that nature. It doesn't say that you can't have it. It just says that that these types of signs in relationship to traffic is prohibited. So it's kind of vague. It's not very specific. Our new sign code, we hope that will get passed in the future. We're making it clearer.
Mr. Chairman, what you're restricting here is entrepreneurship. You're restricting one's opportunity to create a small business. I agree with anyone and everyone who wants to prevent youth getting their hands on nicotine products, vapes, et cetera. And there's more than just vapes. The problem is, if you start restricting these businesses, you've done nothing to the fact that they're widely sold in gas stations, convenience stores, groceries. It does nothing to those places. And the study, thank you for sending that, the study shows that 75% of underage vapors, consumers, whatever the case may be, 75% of them are having someone else acquire the vape for them. I think there are some good ideas, such as putting a fee on the stores. I would like to work with law enforcement, because like with the beer board, we do regular checks. I would like to see that become more of a process with the vape shops, because that's the tough part. And I would, the way I interpreted the sign code, perhaps is a bit different. I'd love to get with you on that. However, what this does, you have a process of the Board of Zoning Appeals that reads like the old temperance laws that were in place and eventually abandoned in regard to alcohol sales. Okay, we're taking a step back. We're restricting small business opportunities in Jackson, Tennessee, while not really addressing the core issue of kids getting their hands on these things. Like I said, it does absolutely nothing to the gas stations that have very large supplies of these same products.
Well, the same could be said about the beer board. I mean, the beer board is there to restrict where you can have beer sales and where you can't.
Right.
We don't, so you could say that it affects small business because you don't allow all small businesses to sell beer. And you use certain distance requirements and things when you look at that. So again, this body of regulation falls into a category just like beer boards and into what we call health, safety, and welfare laws. And so I don't think, we're not diminishing someone's ability to start a business. Just like we're not going to go out and close all the vape shops. All we're doing is restricting the number and the exposure.
Okay, Stan, in regard to the beer board, we have the liquor store districts, but otherwise, as far as gas stations, grocery stores, convenience stores, drug stores, et cetera, we don't have a radius. And when you look back on when we did that bad redo of the liquor store code, we had the 2-mile radius on that. Well, when we put that on the map, liquor stores can't move as of 2030. You're doing the same thing. A 1.5-mile radius is a bit more generous. However, they're gonna be stacked on top of each other. When this goes through, even with a 1.5 mile radius, there's no room for anyone else to come in and start a business. And again, we are denying the opportunity for entrepreneurship with legislation like this. There's a better way to do this without affecting the opportunity to create small business.
Again,
Question.
okay.
And this
Yeah,
may,
Councilman Stovall.
this may be for legal. We're already doing stings. So my question would be, would it be a different ordinance we'd have to pass? How would it, to where we could, like what we do with the beer board, if someone is selling to minors, minors are getting their hands on it, where we can find them.
State law has specific provisions for enforcement of the beer code. The rules are set out. I don't think there's anything comparable for vaping right now. I think there should be, but all we could do is have a fine of $50. There's no revocation process that I know of. There should be other things like that.
Yeah.
Does that answer your question?
It does, yeah, because that's what I struggle, because I hear what Councilman McKelvey's saying, and I don't want to restrict the free market, although I hear people in my district, District 1, South Jackson, say, we got 4 or 5 vape stores, we don't need any more, we don't want any more. Well, but you let the free market decide that. And if the free market determines that we don't need any more, then those businesses won't be successful. But also, it's just something I really struggle with, because I hear what you're saying, and I don't want, it is a problem. It is a problem in schools, and the way that these places go to market to young people with the flavors, and like Councilman Dodd said, the different things. It's something I struggle with here.
Well, and I will say, and I'll be quiet. Other cities have saw a need to have these, just because they felt it was an additional, I guess, tool in the tool chest to allow for controlling the exposure and limiting access. And again, you as a body have to decide what you want to do. And again, these things, while we're handling through zoning, these aren't our typical planning things that we normally deal with, but it is a use just like any other land use. But again, I think the idea is youth getting access to vaping products. The study said it will lead to it often leads to other tobacco use and leads to a life of addiction to nicotine and the health effects of that. It's trying to limit that exposure, and if you feel it's unnecessary, then y'all don't have to put it into action. But other cities have saw the benefit of having an extra layer there to not expose their young people to and give them access to more and more stores.
What benefit did they receive? Did they show up? Did they see? What benefit did they see?
Well, the study came out in January of '25. A lot of these ordinances that were passed by cities came out in the summer or the fall of '25. So the jury's still out. But again, the communities that enacted these laws felt having an extra protection in there was worthwhile.
Okay, but so they haven't seen the results yet?
No, because it's new.
Okay.
Councilman Lawrence.
One of the things we're talking about here is addressing the problem instead of restricting. Louis, to get that addressed, could we do it with a private act, or what does it take to get the penalty where if you sell to a minor, you can lose your license for operation?
I hate pop quizzes, but I'll try.
I can answer for
Come
you.
on, Lou.
What you're suggesting is some sort of criminal code, and that requires state action.
Because a private act would do it then, even though
No,
it's.
private acts do not carry the gravity of a criminal code.
Okay, so we need to.
May I piggyback off that?
Sure,
So
please.
in that study that I reviewed last night about it, Tennessee is in the minority of states that has no legislation regarding any restrictions around vapes. That's something I would like to see addressed. However, we unfortunately don't have the means to do that. We need protections on the books. Unfortunately, they're not there, and restriction doesn't achieve that.
Did you say
Changed my
Chris
mind.
Todd and
Yeah, I would love
Ed
to.
Jackson?
I would love to get some help from them. That's where we could be most effective.
And just one example from the past, this community, the county and the city back years ago, saw the need to restrict the number of adult entertainment establishments, and they put laws on the books to do that. And there were studies done on the effects of those. And so, again, this community has done that before, and zoning a lot of times is a tool for doing that. But again, you have to decide as a group whether you feel it's necessary or not.
Councilmember Wallace.
Thank you.
We'll come back to you.
Chief Corley, question to you. When we go in and you've done sting operations in liquor stores or places that are selling beer to minors, is it not the same with the vape shop that they have to check when a person comes in, their license to see their age?
Yes. As far as, they're supposed to only, excuse me, they're supposed to only sell to those 21 and up.
Okay,
However, different than the beer sales where there is a state code and everything that goes along with it.
right.
It's basically contributing to the bankruptcy of a minor.
Okay, so there's more enforcement with the beer, but they are breaking the law in effect by selling to a minor.
Yes.
So restricting these is really not going to stop the sale to a minor.
They just go to the gas station next door.
Right.
Lewis,
Okay.
do you anticipate that the state of Tennessee will pass some kind of,
You need to call
I need
bigger
your,
people than
I need your
us.
crystal ball here, your batteries,
call
new
bigger
batteries in there.
people.
I don't know. They face the same, I mean, what you're balancing is protection of underage children from using an addictive product versus restricting the ability of entrepreneurs to make money by selling vaping stuff to underage. I don't know.
Mayor.
Can I say something?
Yeah, go ahead,
I mean, the reality is, kids are gonna get this stuff regardless whether there's a restriction or not. And so I, too, am kinda leaning toward Councilman McElvery because you don't wanna limit somebody being willing to be an entrepreneur and open something. So although it is a great idea, I mean, I don't really think it's gonna really limit, you know, the exposure and the access to young people. That's just, I mean, working with young people, I see it all the time.
Well, why do we limit alcohol then? I mean,
Well,
that's,
I'll go back to that alcohol code. I don't think we should have limited, anyway. I think businesses should have the right.
Councilman Dodd.
Sorry.
Then we'll come, Councilman Dodd.
I just want to make a motion. Can we table this and just open up and do more research on this?
okay.
And if we want to do stricter laws, we can come back with something else. Just make a table this and
And may I
public notice.
piggyback on Councilman Dodd's?
You got a motion on the, motion to table.
Second.
A motion to table, motion in the second to table.
With all due respect, tabling is not the solution. This just needs to go away. Let's go back to the drawing board and start fresh. Comparing nicotine products to adult entertainment is not apples to apples. That comparison isn't even on the same aisle of the grocery store. The only difference between now and 25 years ago when I was young, we had dip and cigs back then, and now it's Zins and vapes. It's just a different method of delivery. However, the problem is still exactly the same, and zoning does not address that, okay? A vote yes for this is essentially a vote no for small business in Jackson.
So the motion and the second on the, right now is to table. So any further discussion on the table? Council, please vote.
Motion failed.
Motion failed to table. All right, so we're back on the motion for the ordinance. Any further discussion on the motion on the ordinance?
One last question, I'm sorry, one last question. Did I hear you to say, Mr. Pallett, that, and I may not have heard it correctly, that if a entrepreneur wishes to open a vape store in a district right now, and they come before the Board of Zoning Appeals or whomever, and the appeals board, can the appeals board say that there's a saturation of these stores in this district, and therefore we deny it for that purpose?
You
Can
mean
they
if
do
this were
that?
to pass?
I'm sorry?
If this were to pass or right now?
Yeah, right now.
No. No, they're allowed to go in any lease space and sell their products anywhere retail products are sold.
All right, thank you.
Mayor,
Yes.
the motion is to approve.
no, yes.
Yes, right now the motion, the second is for the approval of the ordinance. Yes,
The
Councilman.
question I have in determining the appropriateness of this, they may consider existing stores, residents, parks, playgrounds, schools, churches. My question is, they may. So I might see it one way and you see it another way. I might say, okay, we got one extra store here I don't need anymore, and you think we do. That's kind of arbitrary there. It's just open without.
Well, that's why, I mean, you have the same with this body. You have differing opinions, and there's deliberation, and then they vote. So it depends on what they vote. But you've given them some factors to look at. But again, right now, that doesn't exist. So.
That was my concern. It was just kind of subjective to the feelings at that day.
Mr. Chairman, I would argue that our energy would be better spent working with our state policymakers, our state lawmakers, to get something done in Asheville, because without something with real teeth at the state level, you know, we're pretty powerless. And again, I stand by my belief that this restricts business while ultimately leaving the problem wide open. Because again, you can go right next door to the gas station and buy the same product the same way you would at the vape store. The only thing you're putting out landlords, and you're denying potential sales tax revenue for the city that we need when you go to restricting businesses.
All right, any further discussion? Council, please vote.
Motion fails.
All right,
Thank you, Mayor and Council.
thank you. We're on to second reading. Item 1, proposed budget amendment to recognize and appropriate $1,553,296.60 for Tennessee ECD Fast Track Grant for 6K Energy.
So moved.
Have a motion?
Second.
A second. Further discussion? Council, please vote.
Motion passed 9-0.
Item 2 is proposed budget amendment to recognize and appropriate $1,500,000 for OCJIP Violent Crime Intervention Fund Grant.
Motion.
Second.
Motion is second. Further discussion? Council, please vote.
Motion passed 9-0.
Item 3, proposed budget amendment to reallocate $89,396.09 for police patrol vehicle upfitting.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Further discussion? Council, please vote.
Motion passed 9-0.
Item 4 is consideration of a plan of service, proposed annexation and zoning for an area referred to as Cater, comprising of 1.3 acres more or less, located at Highway 45 North and Ashport Road. The proposed zoning is B5 Highway Business District.
Motion.
We have a motion?
Second.
And second. Further discussion? Council, please vote.
Motion passed 9-0.
Item 5 is consideration of a plan of service, proposed annexation and zoning for an area referred to as McCormick, comprising of 5.45 acres more or less, located at the northwest corner of Airways Boulevard and Fiberglass Road. Proposed zoning is SC1 Planned Unit Commercial Development District.
Motion.
Second.
We have a motion, second. Further discussion? Council, please vote.
Motion passed 8-1 abstain.
Item 6, consideration of an ordinance to rezone property located at Hillary Drive and Blake Drive from RS1 Single Family Residential District to RS2 Single Family Residential District, comprising of 37.39 acres more or less.
So moved.
Have a motion?
Second.
Second. Further discussion? Council, please vote.
Motion passed 9-0.
Item 7 is consideration of an ordinance to amend the text of the official zoning ordinance of the City of Jackson, Tennessee, Article 6, regulations applying to specific to several or to all districts, Section 11, Plan Unit Residential.
Motion.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Further discussion?
Question.
Yes.
Can I have explanation on this, Stan?
As explained before, this PURD, which is not the PRD that we're used to seeing, the
Right, and will you-
PURD.
And will you say that out, because I watched the tape last time, I want that, the words,
Yeah.
please.
There's a chapter in our zoning ordinance in the supplemental regs that talks about planned unit residential development, which is different than planned residential development. It sounds confusing, but you know, that's how it is on the books, and it's been there a long time. But in my 36 years of being here, I've never seen it used. I've seen PRDs, but never PURDs. And so we are considering that to be obsolete because it's not used at all. There's no benefit to it, and we're just removing it from the zoning ordinance if we're not going to use it.
Okay, so it's been there, but it's never been used in 30 years. So what will happen, again, when you say the PR, I want you to say, I want to hear that for the record. PR, just, no, I'm asking, say that again. Planned residential, planned what?
Unit residential development.
Okay, so you're really talking more duplexes, fourplexes?
No, it has nothing to do with that. It's just a different way of doing residential development, but it's a tool we never used. So we're removing it since it's just sitting there unused. We have other tools like the PRD that developers have chosen to use over time, but not the PURD.
Okay, so would you say for residential area that this would not apply to subdivisions that are already?
No, there's no, I don't,
Okay.
I can't recall, unless it's way back in time, anything that was developed under the PURD. It would have to go back to the 70s probably.
Okay,
But we've developed other tools over time, and developers have chosen not to use this provision anymore.
okay. And I appreciate you stating that.
No problem.
I missed last month and went back and looked at it, and I wanted to hear the term for the public so we can understand it a little bit better, so thank you.
We're not playing the shell game.
Yeah, well, still, I want to be informed, and I need to know when I have my
I understand.
constituents ask questions, and it's better for them to hear it doing this than me to try to explain it to them. So I think it's
understand.
very important all the time when we use codes to use the full term, and I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
All right, any further discussion? Council, please vote.
Motion passed 8-1 no.
Item 8, consideration of an ordinance to amend the text of the official zoning ordinance of the City of Jackson, Tennessee, Article 5, Specific District Regulations, Section 13, SC1, F, Parking and Access 1. Is there a
So moved.
Second.
motion? Second. Further discussion?
Yeah, I've forgotten what that is, parking
Okay.
and access, what.
All right. Back a few years ago, when we removed the minimum parking standards from the zoning ordinance, the SC1 was a little different in that it had a parking standard built into the district requirements. And so when we removed the minimum parking standards, we removed them from everything, but it still stated it in the SC1 district. So we're just removing that to align with what we've already done.
Any further discussion? Council, please vote.
Motion passed 9-0.
All right, moving on to new business. Item 1 is consideration of the Safe Streets and Roads for All Safety Action Plan.
Hello there, council members.
Good morning.
I wanted to make sure that it's on the screen before I get started. I do have, perfect. This is going to be very similar to the pre-agenda meeting presentation, but I wanted to present it to you again for your recollection as well as for the public. So my name is Natalie Flores, and I'm going to be presenting on the Safe Streets for All Safety Action Plan. It's not letting me click through. Let me see. Yeah, I'm a own tech support. There we go. So a quick overview of a safety action plan. Safety action plan is a comprehensive safety plan that aims to reduce serious injury and fatal crashes on the transportation network for all road users. It comes from a larger program that basically looks at safety on the roadway, but also just trying to encourage safer people, safer speeds, safer roads, safer vehicles, and also post-crash care. One thing that came up in the pre-agenda meeting was a discussion of, well, what are the benefits of the safety action plan beyond looking at safety itself? This is a plan, and then you would be able to take the projects from the plan to go after implementation dollars for projects. Although I cannot speak to the future grant window, past grant windows have had an allocation of 2.5 to 25 million for projects. So it does open up quite a bit of potential funding through going after implementation grant funding through the SS4A program. Throughout the plan, we did a couple different things to make sure that we aligned what we were recommending to what was needed for the city of Jackson and also through what the public saw. So we did 3 rounds of public engagement. The first was identifying what the public saw as their safety concerns. The second focused on what strategies were important to the public and were supported to address those concerns. And then the third focused on review of the draft plan. During the first 2 rounds of engagement, 801 surveys were completed, and the City of Jackson for the size of city that it is, had a tremendous amount of public involvement. Within round one, we found that distracted driving, red light running, and speeding were the top 3 driver behavior concerns. Outside of driver behavior, looking at infrastructure and other things that aren't specifically driver behavior, we have unsafe intersections, poor roadway design, and insufficient law enforcement were identified as the top 3 infrastructure safety concerns. In round 2, we looked at what kind of strategies were supported. Increased enforcement, distracted driver outreach, and higher fines and penalties were supported to address driver behavior concerns. To address infrastructure improvement, those were dedicated turn lanes, increased roadway striping and lighting, crosswalk visibility, more walkways, and increased intersection lighting. Again, round 3 gave a draft of the plan for the public to review. We had a presentation on that was recorded and available for the public after the time of the meeting. 32 comments were received during this time, and they were in support of the project overall, or really echoed the sentiment that we got in the first 2 rounds of involvement. We also did a safety analysis over 5 years of crash data, and we're looking at the serious injury and fatal crashes. There were 301 that happened in the city of Jackson over the past 5 years. 67% of those were either single vehicle or angle crashes. Single vehicle crashes often occur when a car goes off the roadway or if it hits a guardrail. It does not involve a secondary vehicle. Angle crashes often happen at intersections whenever there's a turning movement, whenever a vehicle is at an angle. Approximately 1 in 10 involve DUI, and almost 56% of serious injury and fatal pedestrian crashes happened under dark conditions. So those were some of our analysis. Those were some of the things that stuck out to us the most. Throughout the safety action plan, we also identified a high injury network, and so you can see those crash locations. The orange and the red are what you're looking at most. Those orange circles are intersections, and the red lines are the corridors that have fatal and serious injury crashes, but the other crashes are also represented on this map. Whenever we came to recommendations, we developed a project scoring matrix. So this is the maximum importance awarded and the different criteria we used. So crash severity, multimodal focus areas, underserved communities, infrastructure, local city priority, public concerns, and existing plans all were weighted and put into a scoring matrix that then populated a score for each of the projects. And this is a lot on the screen, but this is just real quick of how we did the cost estimates. They are based on recent projects within the state of Tennessee, each done by each or by mile or by lane foot, and then they're calculated based off of how much that costs per that project. So sort of extrapolating out as much as we can about what those costs are, and then taking that data and applying them to the identified projects. And from that, we have much more than 10 intersection and 10 corridor projects, but these are just the top 10 of each by score. The full listing of projects is available in the full safety action plan. These tables themselves are available in the executive summary. So you can see there's quite a few, and I'll leave it here for a second, and I'll go to the next one. And then these are the top 10 corridor segment projects by score. And so you can see some pretty high scoring projects in there. The highest project that we had scored was a 90. In addition to specific infrastructure projects, we also identified program and policy recommendations. Most of these came, or 2 of the 3 came from public input, but 1 came from the previous plan and study review. The ones that came from public input include increased enforcement measures and driver education campaigns. And then through the previous plan and study review, we're recommending emergency response time policy. This is the team. It was not just myself, but many other people at Neal Schaefer, as well as our coordination partners and our supporting consultants. And I always like to give credit where credit is due. It's not a one-man operation, so thank them all for their help in this. But I'm happy to answer any questions that y'all have about the plan.
All right, any question for Natalie?
A 100-page report, I've been trying to read it. This was $90,000, right? Our first payment on this?
I was actually not with Neal Schaefer when the contract was signed, so I do not know the exact contract amount for the plan itself.
This is the extent of it. Yeah. Or is it?
This was a grant that we received to pay for this study. So this is the first step. Any grant that we go after for construction dollars to actually build infrastructure to make our streets safer, this is the first step. You have to prepare a safety action plan and submit that to the federal government when you apply for the construction money. So they gave us a grant to do that, and we're very pleased that they did. And we're hoping, because they felt that we were a good investment, that when we go with the safe action plan to them for money to do the construction of some of these things contained in here, that they'll give us dollars to do that.
So it's hard to read the whole thing, so if I understand you correctly, the scoring that you have is what your recommendation is. If we could do one project, ought to go to the highest score.
The highest scored projects are going to be the ones where they had, because of the way that the scoring is rated or ranked, safety ends up being the #1 weighted. So the higher the score, the higher likelihood that that is in a place where there's many fatalities and serious injury crashes. So those are probably your worst locations.
I have a question. Go ahead.
Just real quick, just for those watching out there in TV land, this is a tool, as Stan alluded to, that will provide us opportunities to pursue more grants to improve some of these areas that are at risk and need some safety enhancements. So, yeah, didn't cost us anything, and it provides us a great opportunity for future projects with some funding assistance. So thank you.
Yeah.
So next steps, you guys will be searching for grants, and when you get the funds awarded, if you do, you'll come back to us and let us know what you received, and then we'll start.
Yes, it will follow the grant process that we've adopted with the City of Jackson. You will always see any contracts that we have, but, you know, we are hoping, because they saw fit to invest dollars in us to develop the safety action plan, they'll also see make the decision to invest other dollars with us.
Question.
Yeah, go ahead.
In my district, I see several installed RRFB.
Oh, yes. So those are a type of flashing beacon that's helps with pedestrian crossings.
Okay.
They're really sort of an advanced warning to help let motorists know that there is a pedestrian crossing at a location. So they're just an additional safety element, typically used in places where pedestrians are crossing already and not at a crossing location. So trying to make the already unsafe place as safe as we can get it.
Seeing those locations, that makes sense.
Yes,
You can
thank you.
have one though.
In the meantime, thank you. You can go to the flashlight and just do that.
Yeah.
Any other questions? They need to vote to approve this.
No, this
No,
is,
okay.
again, this is just, I don't think there's a vote required.
Okay, perfect. All right. Thank you so much, Natalie.
Thank you.
All right, item 2 is consideration of an offer to purchase 13.4 acres of city-owned property adjacent to the Crossings by the Crossings Partners.
Mr. Chairman.
I want to present, yes,
Yeah, I'm good. Let me back off. I'll pick that back up.
yeah.
What?
Is it Stan or Nathan or Lewis or
Whoever.
somebody present? Go ahead, Stan. Present that.
This is a piece of land that is adjacent to basically what we used to call, it's part of the old Highland Green Golf Course. And it's where Parks and Rec has facilities now. The area that they're wanting to purchase from us is an area that, according to Tony, only affects about 3 of the Frisbee golf holes, and they can realign those. But the developer are wanting to acquire it to facilitate additional development that would lead to tying in with other developments that are in the area. And so we had an appraisal done, and the appraisal gave us an appraisal amount, and they are offering equal to the appraisal amount. So we feel it makes sense.
Please inform the people what the appraisal amount is.
Get that.
And who did the appraisal?
All right, let me get
But I wanted to know too.
Oh, you did?
Brad Denny.
Dean appraisals, he's
Yes.
local.
What's the amount?
245, no, 214.
$560.
Yeah, that's the,
$16,000 an acre.
yeah, that, you have it in your packet. Let me get to the amount. The appraisal amount is listed $214,000 in the appraisal report, and it was done by Dean Appraisals. and they are offering $214,560. So it's in line with the appraisal amount.
Motion?
Can,
Is that a motion?
Yes.
no, I just wanted to hear from Park and Rec.
Well, Frank,
too,
oh,
because we
Frank made a
don't-
motion, then we have,
Second.
I heard a second. All right, now we're gonna hear from Parks
Thank
and
you,
Rec.
Chairman.
Okay.
That's what I was gonna ask, because we didn't have the opportunity to hear from Parks on Thursday, so I'd like to know how it affects, your plans for the property.
Basically, now we have a pretty nice disc golf course, and we worked in partnership with the disc golf group. And it affects probably just 3 holes on the backside, am I correct?
So initially, Mayor, and you probably remember this better than I do, we had this discussion back in April, and it was about 9 acres. The additional acres, at that point, it was only affecting about 3 holes. Now it's affecting holes 11 through 17. And so essentially, half of the course. And that's just, that they are open to redesign. You know, there's costs that come with that. And this is also where our state games is played. And so I'm not sure how that would impact this coming year. Registration's already open for that.
Did you say state games?
The state games that the city hosts, that is the location that our disc golf games are played at. And that will be the first weekend in June. Registration's already open for that. So again, I'm not sure how any of this would affect, you know, if we would still be able to use that property then, or how that works.
Do
I
you
have a
collect
question on
fees?
that.
Okay,
Yeah.
what-
So is there any, I know we go to the disc golf stuff. I do not play, I watch my children play, but, and I know a lot of people do use that. We've got other ones though. With those state games, could those be moved, or is that a no?
So the only other course we have right now is
Is that
Muse,
Muse?
and
Yeah.
it needs an extensive amount of work.
Yeah.
Yeah, Muse, sorry, Frank, the Muse, actually, there's, I guess, the equivalent of a tee box in disc golf. There's one that is actually a safety hazard.
Yeah, we've actually had a volunteer group, the Hub City Disc Golf Group has been coming in and cleaning up Muse and addressing some of those, you know, tee box issues, just as a volunteer group, because of the, you know, we just don't have the funds right now to address that. But that is the only other, local course we have. We can take, with state games, we can go, and I'm not the expert on it, but I think it's 80 miles out from the city and it still be considered a Jackson State game. But again, and that's probably, you know, a plausible discussion for next year. I'm more concerned about this year since we already have registration open.
What,
Yeah, when was-
what revenue do we get from those state games?
Well, last year was our first year, so it's
Be
really
smaller.
kind of hard to say. We did have about 78 people come.
When did you say that game was?
June?
June.
It's the first 2 weekends in June. I'm not sure which weekend has been designated as disc golf. We usually do tennis one weekend and then disc golf the other. And I do have, you know, just some stats from UDisc, which is what disc golfers use. From January 1, 2025 to December 31st, 2025, those that used the app, there was over 3,600 rounds played.
Hannah, yes. Yeah, we were talking about 9 acres of 13. You can explain why we have 13 as opposed to 9? No? Okay.
Okay, can I,
Yeah,
Well, I have
go
a
ahead.
question.
okay.
At agenda review, we talked about it affecting 3 holes.
Right.
And so today, I made a motion to accept this, but I would like
Yeah,
to
I
withdraw
would-
Go from
that
3
based
to-
on that new
yeah.
information.
Yeah, I drove the property yesterday just to make sure before I came up here. And I do know effectively, if I'm looking at it correctly, it's a little bit more. Not to mention, there's also the cart path that people walk.
Yeah,
you
so
know,
originally it was just
so-
over 9 acres,
Right.
and then it was really 13, and I didn't know that was gonna affect more holes than that either.
I
So
still have a
I withdraw my
question.
motion.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Okay, the fees, we're not really sure on the fees, is that correct? But there is some revenue generated for that.
So, right now, we don't have, we're working on our MOU to charge for when they have tournaments, local tournaments. State games, the revenue that comes from that is gonna be your hotel, motel, and
Right,
sales tax.
right, I
There-
was-
We
I
don't,
was
yeah, we
considering-
don't get.
Yeah, I was
um,
considering that also. Do you have the acreage if you need to redo for the 18 holes?
So, and again, I'm not a disc golfer, but the way that I understand is you don't want to play the same hole over and over.
Right.
So the allure to what we have right now is that part of the course is the attractive, more challenging part of the course. And
it's-
again, I think we can redesign. I think that, you know, if funds could be allocated to redesign and help.
I think we'll let us talk with the disc golf group, but it's similar to golf. They want a certain number of holes to be par fours and a certain number to be a par five versus having all par threes, et cetera. So it may be a challenge, but it's something to talk with them and see if it's possible. My question is, how soon would the development be so that it doesn't affect
Okay,
the
so
state games
that
if they're
would be my
planning
third
on?
question.
How long that process would be?
All right, so we have the funds coming in if we do the sale of the property. Couldn't we use some of the sale of the property to redo these holes? Wouldn't that be agreeable? Well, anyways.
Well, I think
that's-
what the issue we have is we're looking at 9 to opposed to 13 and a half, and if we were looking at three holes of the disc golf to now, you said what?
Basically, the
Half the
last
course,
6,
all- yeah.
7
Yeah.
holes.
Six or seven holes, yeah.
But any cost we have to redo it should be taken away from the cost of the land that we sell, because we're not
Right.
netting that number. That's a cost of sales.
Okay. Can I ask, Mr. Joel Alexander, when do you need this property?
Yeah, because it puts us in a tough spot, because,
Right.
you know, the crossings is a great development.
we need-
It's an
right.
exciting project that I think we need to support.
I'm not really sure where we changed from 9 acres to 13 acres. That was my son, and he's
Okay.
off skiing somewhere this week.
Okay, let's call him.
But I know that the whole purpose was, we're working with the developers of Windstone, and the property they're buying from George White is really irregular shaped. And working with the engineer, we couldn't make storm drainage, utilities, sewer work the way it was cut off with this piece of the city property. And a lot of the city property is a little swampy area that it
Right.
doesn't drain at all.
That's right.
Right.
But
Right.
by us developing it, we can take that water, put it in detention ponds we're doing with the crossings, and do some swaps with Windstone, Lee Godfrey, and Kenny Sutherland. And really, about half of this property was gonna swap with them anyway, to square things up. So it just makes the development a whole lot cleaner for us. And as far as timeline, we're gonna be needing to start working on construction drawings. Windstone is, crossings, my gosh, it may be 10 years before we get back there. But we could live with the 9 acres, is what I'm saying.
Do you think
Well-
there's any way that y'all could do a post-occupancy agreement if we closed on it, so they could at least finish out the state games?
Sure.
Yeah, that's
good.
okay. Yeah, because I mean, again, it's a great development.
Yeah, we
We don't want to impact Lee and Kenny's development either. I understand that you need the drainage there, it's a big key part of it. But yeah, we could somehow meet in the middle, preserve state games, and that gives us time, perhaps get Muse in better shape for the 2027 state games. So yeah, you could let us throw some frisbees out there a little bit longer.
Do
The
you
area
all
that
have any?
we would be retaining as far as the crossings is where the Frisbee course would be. And we have no intention of developing that anytime soon, so.
Okay.
Can I make a motion to, I guess, counter it with a post-occupancy agreement so that they could still have the state games and it gives them time to figure out what to do?
Louis, you paying attention?
Yeah.
Trying to find another map.
Do y'all, Mr. Sutherland, either one of you all have
It's-
anything
I
to
think
add to this?
Are you looking up under parcel number?
No?
It's 33P050.05. That makes sense if you're looking on parcel map. You can
Tony, are
search
y'all
that.
okay with that? Tony?
On the data accessor website. Look at Chuck.
Is there a motion on the floor, Mr. Mayor?
And we're trying to figure out what the motion is, I think.
I make a
She made
motion
the
that we
motion.
We're
counter
trying to
their
figure out if we
offer,
can make the motion. We're trying to
Oh, okay,
figure it
okay.
that we accept it, but that we have a post-occupancy agreement.
I think Ron has a,
out. Okay, Ron, all right.
That was Cloud.
Your motion could be to motion to amend, or you could just motion to roll it 1 month, and then you could just bring a new agreement
I would
following.
amend the motion to counter the offer with a post-occupancy.
Just an amendment, just say it.
So, yeah, you can make a motion to amend it with that.
Because that's not,
counter
that's
offer.
accepting the offer if you don't.
is that what you're
Is-
doing?
The only question is Louis,
Is if it's,
what happens if hypothetically they don't accept? Does it
Then
have
it's
to be
dead.
final before we bring it?
yeah.
Yeah,
So,
so,
let's do this. Let's make a motion to table
Yeah.
for a month. Is that
yeah,
what-
make a motion to
think
roll
that
the month
might-
because
Roll the
just in
month, that way we
case,
can-
because you have to have it
Yeah.
finalized
Yeah.
for you to vote
How
on.
about you tell me what my motion gonna be?
So I will second it.
I motion it to table it so we can counter.
Okay.
To
I'll
have an
second that.
occupancy
I
agreement
agree.
after the fact of closing, so we can have the state games and everybody wins. That's
I
my
agree.
motion.
I'll second it.
And Richard, birthday man, don't you want to close it out and say yes?
Yes.
Well,
Hey,
Joel,
look
how
at
does,
us, T.
so if we bump the timeline back, how does that affect your plans?
It doesn't affect mine, it may affect,
That's what I've asked them if they,
they're really pushing to.
Well, yeah, I understand, I don't wanna slow progress, if we don't have to. Please.
so, okay, good. I'll
We got a motion
keep
to roll
pointing at
back
him.
a month. Is that yeah, second?
We
Yes.
got a second.
Yeah,
Yeah,
second.
I
Okay,
agree.
okay, yeah,
I
it's a roll a
agree.
month,
I
all
think
right.
a month.
Roll a month, all right. We can get more
Good morning.
Good morning.
We're in a position that we're waiting on this to happen. We've been put on hold 6 months already. We're closing this tract of land with Mr. White, and we can't do anything until we get this resolved. As far as drainage is concerned, I mean, we can, we'll just have to start over from scratch. If we made an agreement with the McAlexanders or with the Crossings to do this land swap, and it will help the drainage problems for Palmer Woods, and which everybody knows, maybe everybody doesn't, but they have drainage problems out
Yeah,
there.
I had bad draining, last year.
Yeah, so, it'll help the drainage problems with Palmer Wood, it'll help the sewer problems, getting both these tracts of land sewered. I don't know anything about this 9 or 13 acres. How many was it supposed to be in the beginning, Joe?
Nine.
I think mine was.
4 to
Look,
5.
Let me
I
make it
thought.
more confusing,
Yeah.
Louis.
So, I know nothing about that. I just know that
Okay.
we've made an agreement with them to make this land swap and redirect sewer and water, et cetera. And our engineer is waiting on the answer from you as
If I can make it a little bit more confusing, 'cause we haven't made it confusing enough already. We have a special call meeting on Thursday.
okay.
Can we add this agenda item? Because the agenda will be sent out before 3 today. Send notice out today and have this on the agenda. We have 48 hours. We get the agreement to roll it, get the modified agreement, have this on the agenda for Thursday. And that'll give you enough time, so we're not pushing it a month, pushing it 2 days. That work?
Will 2 days kill you, Lee?
That's fine.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
And Christie, will that cover you all?
Yeah, Louis.
Well, and I was gonna say,
Three would have been very easy to redirect, but 6 or 7 holes, that'd be a challenge, but we just need a delay.
Tell me this, if anybody knows, the developers don't know anything about the 13.4 acres, which I think I've heard everybody say that's 3 additional acres or something. Where did 13.4 come from that's on the list, the agenda right now?
It's the total. of the
And
two
again, let me
parcels.
say, I'm the default person that this got stuck with. This isn't really.
The developer that's out of town is the one that knows about it.
But,
who's skiing
That, that's what the sales agreement is based on. The sales agreement is based on the 13 acres. So they're asking for that. So that's the purchase agreement you have in your, if you have those documents in your packet, are for 13.41 acres. So, they must have gotten into the property, and when they got in the property, they needed additional acreage to make all this work. But again, that's about all the knowledge I have, is that there was appraisal done, the amount, and how much acreage. But all this other that you've talked about, of course, this is imperative to the developments that are out there, and it will help Palmer Woods, which is needs the help,
Sure.
and I think everything that you've talked about is a good way to get to that goal.
I think the 13 acres is just the total of the 2 parcels listed on on there.
Yeah, yeah.
I think it's
Just that
fair
simple.
to do till Thursday at least. I think that's fair.
Well, yeah, and let's remember, back spring of last year, we had the Jackson Fire Department out in that Palmer Woods area pumping water off of the streets due to the excessive flooding. So it
That's
is
right.
absolutely
Austin
critical
helped.
to the health and safety of that area to have some drainage relief. So, yeah, if we can kick it till Thursday, get the post-use agreement, so we can take care of state games and disc golf, buy a little time for 2027.
Win-win.
I don't, yeah,
Yeah.
I
So
don't have
will
anything
Shane
better.
be back?
We're on
Will
third-
Shane
we're on
be
third.
back by then?
Thursday?
All right, okay, so we'll get that done, roll to Thursday, that's the motion second. Further discussion on that? Council, please
Wait,
vote.
wait. So,
Rolling to Thursday was the motion, yeah, sorry.
okay, okay.
Motion passed 9-0.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank y'all. Item 3 is consideration of a street acceptance request for Shepherd's Field, Section 13.
Motion.
Second.
Motion second, further discussion? Council, please vote.
Motion passed 9-0.
Item 4, consideration of street acceptance request for Shepherd's Field, Section 14.
So move.
Second.
Motion second. Further discussion? Council,
Yeah,
please.
I have a question.
Okay.
Stan, can you tell us the square footage? I just want to show that we're building houses in this. Will you tell us the square footage of these houses approximately per house?
In Shepherd's Field,
Yes, sir.
we don't regulate the size of house.
Right, but it's,
2,700 to 4,000.
Yeah, so
Okay.
I don't ever
All right.
have that knowledge, because that is not what we do.
okay, all right. I just thought in this second section that they were a little bit smaller and the lots
I
were a
mean, there's
little
more
smaller.
3-2s, but, I mean, they're
They're about the same.
traditional family,
Yeah, I mean-
single-family homes.
Okay, great.
Shepherd's Field is, you know, their product has been pretty consistent.
Okay.
But again, we don't regulate that, so we don't
Okay,
look at that.
appreciate the growth. Thank you.
Further discussion? Council, please vote.
Motion passed 9-0.
Item 5 is consideration of cooperative participation agreement with Buy Board.
So moved.
Second.
Motion second. Discussion? Council, please vote.
Motion passed 9-0.
Item 6 is budget amendments less than 10,000. Item 7, consideration of invoices over 10,000.
Question.
Oh, we got a motion?
Second.
We got a second, all right, you have a question?
There's 4 or 5 of these that are grant money, and in trying to find the grant money, I think I see that we carried forward at the end of 25 about $660,000, and we have revenue this year so far of about $227,000, which is roughly $900,000, and yet we're showing we're spending $2.4 million. I need where to go look for these numbers. They don't add up to what I've got.
Larry, I don't have that with me. Councilman Lawrence, I don't have that with me.
Larry's
The
fine.
numbers that you're quoting, if you can get that, I can get you that information.
Okay. The same thing about the capital fund balance. It shows 1.9 million, and we show expenditures in 26 of 4.2 million, with revenue projections of 142,000. That leaves us a few million short. And we were gonna get that from fund balance of the general fund.
That's correct.
What is that fund balance now?
It's about, we're still working on closing some property tax receipts for the end of December. Today's just the 6th, but it's about $20.6 million at the end of December.
So, is it good accounting practice to have this show as expenditure when the money's not there?
No.
All right, further discussion?
Repeat what you said, the fund balance, once you finish up with the December revenue and
It
all
will be
that?
more than $20.6 million. Right now, I can pin it at $20.6 million, but
Peg what you expect to be at the end of the year,
Sir?
fiscal year.
at the end of the fiscal year?
Yeah, that's a number that
Whatever the budgeted amount is.
you still feel good there?
Yeah, still feel relatively good there, yes, sir.
Should it be $1 million more because we got the grant in on the police?
No,
Why not?
because there are some unforeseen expenses that you guys have already encountered that are gonna that would reduce that to some extent.
So we're gonna have to up the budget.
You are, yes, sir. You'll see that in February, I think.
Further discussion? Council, please vote.
Motion passed 9-0.
No further business, meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.